In this video, I am going to show you how to make an application that lets the user convert distances to miles or kilometers. Our application will have a label, a text box, another label, a list box, a label, and a convert button. I'm going to do this video in two parts because it's going to be a little long. So first thing is we have to create a new project. I'm going to name my new project Miles and Kilometer Conversion. Miles and Kilometers Conversion. And click OK. As soon as the form pops up, I'm going to start typing the title bar. Press enter and it appears on the title bar. I'm going to make the screen, the form a little wider so that you can see the title. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a label. Move the label to about that position. I'm gonna resize the label, or resize the text. So I'm gonna change the font, make it about an 11, and click OK. And then for the text of my label, I'm going to say distance and a colon. Now I'm going to add a text box. Press enter. I'm going to place the text box over to the right. I'm going to name my text box txt distance. I'm going to add another label. That's not a label. Since I'm going to be using a list box, and list box doesn't have a place for a title, I'm going to use a label to title my list box. So I'm going to change the font of my label. I'll make it an 11. And I'm going to change the text of my list box. My label. And type in from colon. I'm now going to add a list box to my form. Okay, so there's my list box. Move a little. Okay. I am going to name this list box LST from with a capital F because I use camel notation. LST from. I'm gonna add two items to my list box, so I scroll down in the properties and I find the items property, and you'll see that it says collection, and you're gonna click on this ... or the ellipsis button, and here I'm gonna type just two items, so kilometers, and I'm doing it in alphabetical order, kilometers, press enter, and miles, and then click OK. Now I'm going to resize my list box so that it only displays kilometer and miles. Otherwise it would display that empty space, and I don't want it to do that. So now I'm going to create my to label and my list box 2. So first I'm going to create my label. I'm going to change the size of my font, 11. I'm going to change the text to say 2:. And then I'm going to add my list box. Move it just below the, and like the other list box, I am going, well, first of all, I'm going to rename this list box LST2. LST2. I'm going to add kilometers and miles as items to my list box. I'm going to scroll down and find items. Then I type in kilometers and miles and click OK. And I want to resize it because I don't want it to have all this empty space, so I'm going to resize my list box. Now I'm going to add another label to my form. I'm going to change the font of my label here. I've been making them all 11. I'm going to change the text, and I am going to call this converted. The text is going to be converted distance. I'm going to add another label to my form, but this one is going to be to display the converted distance. So because of that, I am going to change the properties so that by default a list box, a label doesn't have any borders. So we're going to change the properties of this label so that it does have a border, so that you can see it displayed with a border when you convert the distances. Now, because I am going to use this label to display the converted distance, I'm going to rename this label. Normally, I don't rename labels unless I'm going to change their text in the execution of the program. So I did not rename distance or the from or the to label. They're like label 1, label 2, and label 3, and label 4 for converted distance. Now this one is label 5, but I'm going to change it because I am going to display the result. So right up here where it says name, I am going to change it to LBL converted distance. I'm using camel notation. So LBL converted distance, and then I'm going to change the auto size property. The auto size property is going to be false. I'm going to change the border style to fixed single. I'm going to delete the text, which is label 5, so there's nothing there. And I'm going to change the text alignment to middle center. And there is my new label with all those properties that I specified. Okay, I'm going to add my convert button. So I'm gonna rename this button. I'm gonna call it BTN Convert. I'm gonna change the text of the button to convert. So in the next video, I will show you the code for the convert button.